All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the show, the 360 Sports Show. I am Andy Pizzelli, joined shortly by Christian Lauber here on a beautiful Sunday morning. Thank you for finding us on our live stream. You can comment on the stream, and we'll get to those throughout the show. If you'd like to email the show, you may do so right there on the screen, the 360 Sports Show at gmail.com. You can also send us messages through Instagram and Twitter at 360 Sports Show. If you can never catch us live, if you're worried about catching us live, we're live every Sunday at 11 a.m. You can subscribe to the show via the podcast, so just wherever podcasts can be found, wherever you like to go find your podcast, just search for the 360 Sports Show, and you will find us there, and you can make sure that you never miss an episode. And any graphics and pictures and things that we use during the show, we make sure we throw up online. So all of you people who want to listen to the show, you want to sleep in on a Sunday, that's fine. You can go and catch everything that we've used after the fact. But yes, August 23rd in the year 2020. As I said, I'm Andy Pizzelli, and I'm going to bring in now Christian Lauber. Christian, how you doing? And as per usual here, let's check in. How many days left in this year 2020 do we have left?
Yes, same as usual. Doing all right. 130 days left, so we're climbing or crawling backwards to that 100-day mark, which is, I think, the biggest key. Get down into double digits instead of triple.
We're sloping down. We're riding the curve down, so to speak.
So to speak, yeah, I guess you could say that.
As a manner of speaking, we're riding the curve down. All right. Anyways, let's just jump right in. We have a lot to get to. NBA first-round games, NHL first-round games. The second round started. NFL training camps. Baseball is still just charging ahead. But I want to start really quickly with something that I think it speaks more of a societal thing right now. So I want to read. A lot of college campuses have gone full digital again. They've said that the cases were too much. It's just not going to be safe. So they send everybody home, or kids are they're just going to sit in their dorms and do digital classwork, at least maybe for a short period of time, and then they'll work on sending everybody back home again. Every situation is a little bit different, but there's a lot of schools that they tried and it didn't work. And one of those that is kind of on the brink of having to do that again is Syracuse. And I want to read a letter. I know maybe many of you had seen this. This is from Syracuse University, and this is from the Vice Chancellor, titled "Last Night's Selfish and Reckless Behavior." And I just think there's a lot of people, especially, I understand if I was a college student and I was on a campus at the time, it'd be very hard not to be in college, to do college things. But right now, and we'll talk about this after, Christian, whether or not, like I've said, maybe I maybe would take a semester off. If I'm not going to get the experience I want, I might as well not pay through the nose for it. But this is this letter. Dear students, last night, a large group of first-year students selfishly jeopardized the very thing that so many of you claim to want from Syracuse. That is, a chance at a residential college experience. I say this because the students who gathered in the quad last night have done damage to shut down campus, including residence halls and in-person learning, before the academic semester even begins. Make no mistake, there was not a single student who gathered on the quad last night who did not know and understand that it was wrong to do so. Instead, those students knowingly ignored the New York State public health law and the provisions of the Syracuse University Stay Safe Pledge. Even more selfishly and unsettling is how the actions of those students willfully undercut the efforts of those who have worked tirelessly over the summer to set the conditions for the continuation of residential learning. Even more selfish and unsettling is how the actions of those students may prevent our seniors from claiming their final year of college on our residential campus. Even more selfish than that, and unsettling, is how the actions of those students could force a situation where some of their classmates may have to vacate the most safe and stable and supportive living situation they have ever known. A full investigation of last night's incident is underway. The Department of Public Safety is reviewing security camera video from the quad, and individuals that can be identified will be immediately referred to the student conduct process. All this said, I want you to understand right now, and very clear, that we have one shot to make this happen. The world is watching, and they expect you to fail. Prove them wrong. Be better. Be adults. Think of someone other than yourself. And also, do not test the resolve of this university to take swift action to prioritize the health and well-being of our campus and Central New York community. Sincerely, J. Michael Haney, Vice Chancellor for Strategic Initiatives and Innovation. That pretty much says it all. That is a mic drop from an institution pretty much to its students saying, that will not be tolerated. And I think that kind of sums up the actions of a lot of people, and what we need from people after seeing how the summer's gone, and if we want any chance at trying, people have worked so hard to try and make things happen and make things work amidst all of this. From trying to have you come to college and being able to get somewhat of a college experience and all the time and effort that's put into it, down to, the local ice cream place just wants to serve you ice cream, and people just can't get out of their own way. They can't look past themselves, and just the tons of selfish behavior. And I think you could, this doesn't have to just apply to Syracuse. I think you could this is a good form letter, take out Syracuse, replace whatever institution or business, and take out students and college campus and just replace local community. And this letter pretty much says everything that I think we all want to see happen. And we would want our people in leadership to have this same tone and take this same action.
Yeah, well done by Syracuse. That letter was pretty much picture perfect on on how to handle the situation, in my opinion. Now, obviously, there's going to be other places around the country that don't have the same views and think it's free for all and do whatever you want. That, in my opinion, is exactly how you want it to be handled. And the reasoning is just, it's pretty much laid out, right? It's obvious at this point that large gatherings and, frankly, it seems like young people just don't care, which is odd to me, but, considering parents, grandparents, you name it. But for a university to do this, now this ties into sports as well. These athletes are going to these parties and then they're getting on the field, forget about it. So that's why you have to just kind of, go virtual, do half and half. I know a lot of universities are doing, split, where it's 1 week, people are going in and people are staying home or in their dorms or wherever, and then, you swap. So there's ways to handle it. And I think at this point, the science points to there's a way to live with this virus in a better ways than others. And Syracuse pretty much sums that up perfectly in this letter. So I approve.
Yeah. No, it was great. Now, like you said, Christian, the flip side is the people who let's examine that half and half measure right there. A school like the University of North Carolina said, "That's it, enough. You guys, everybody out of the pool. Clearly, we cannot behave ourselves. We have already got, it's 2 weeks in, cases are skyrocketing on our campus. It's already getting to an uncontrollable point. Everybody back. That's it. Full digital. Once again, let's go back to what we were doing in the spring." However, you would think most of these places have said, no students, no sports. Get this. UNC clears athletes to practice. Football to resume Monday.
Huh.
North Carolina has cleared football and multiple other sports to resume workouts after temporarily pausing all athletic activities earlier this week. The school announced the move Saturday, allowing some programs to resume activity Sunday. The list includes men's and women's basketball teams, cross country, field hockey, men's and women's soccer, and volleyball. The list also includes the football team, but that program will wait until Monday to resume practice. All other sports at the school will remain on hold for now. The announcement comes 3 days after the decision to pause activities amid rising numbers of coronavirus cases on campus, including in student housing and a fraternity. Those rising cases led the school to cancel in-person undergraduate studies and undergraduate classes in favor of remote instruction. Athletes had continued access to services such as academic support and medical care during the stoppage, which also included the closure of campus recreation facilities. Athletes are among the groups of students who are permitted to remain in on-campus housing after the move to online-only undergraduate courses. Now, here's the thing. I bet the athletes love it. You know, they want to play. You always want to play, hopefully. And as a competitor, you want to be out there, you want to be playing. If you don't feel comfortable playing, obviously these kids can opt out. But how many of them are going to actually do that? Have the maturity and the wisdom to say, you know what, this is what's best for me, my health, and my family, and be able to take that sort of take and look at it that way in their mind. A lot of them are just going to stay and play. So obviously the athletes are probably going to love it. Yay, we get to still play. As an institution, what is the message that you're sending? You're telling the other students that, hey, you guys all have to go home. Well, the athletes are special. We're keeping them here. But also to the athletes, you're saying, we're sending everybody home for their safety, but we're going to let you guys stay. So is their safety not important? Is it about safety? Like, you have to group the students and athletes together. I know it's never been that way, especially at D1 schools, but you have to, say, if it's not safe for the student body, how is it safe? They're students too. How is it safe enough for them? And if the mindset is just, let's clear all the other students out so the athletes can have their little bubble here on campus, that is just so transparent. We know it's all about money, but you're just being even more transparent that it's all about money. I think this is just such a bad look. You had an easy out. We had to close campus, so we have to not have games. No one's going to fault you politically. I don't think the ACC is going to get after you no, you must play. It's we shut our campus down. But they're trying to it's so just blatant that they're just trying to force in a college football season. And I don't think it's going to work. And I think it's going to be dangerous and detrimental. We haven't seen what it looks like when a football team plays, and then if somebody's positive, what cases look the next day. We have not seen anything that's comparable to that. We can't compare baseball to football in terms of what you could contract on a field. I just think this is really, really bad, and it's not a good sign for how college football is trying to approach things.
No, it makes no sense, to be honest. You shut the campus down, and then you're going to send athletes there. So I don't know. I just think the overall thing is just going to be a disaster, in my opinion. I don't think, I think a lot of colleges have realized that it's just not going to work this year. So let's just, cut our losses and say on to next year. It sucks for the athletes. It sucks for, revenue. But at this point, what is more important, lives or college football? I'm going to say lives, but you never know.
Crazy.
Yeah, a lot of people just ignore everything. So, you tell someone to do something or ask them to do something because science, they ignore it and do the opposite. So at this point, I'm not surprised. I'll say that.
Yeah. So that's kind of that's the landscape of college right now, and it's all over the place. You've got some institutions that get it, you have some that don't. You have some places where they've just said the fall is just not feasible, and we're going to accept it and move on. And there's others, and we know the reasons. It's because of money. Oh, great!
Uh-oh.
I've got a fire alarm going off. We'll see if that stops. Christian, how about while I mute myself so we're not listening to an alarm, you dive into some Major League Baseball activities for us here. I'm going to step away for a second.
Yeah. I don't know if anybody can even hear me with that going on. Let's see. So I'll just give this a minute. I can't. There we go. Okay. Uh, you good over there? All right. So baseball. I wanted to bring this up, and I don't know if Andrew has seen this, but Fernando Tatis Jr. The other day for the Padres. This just speaks to volume how bad baseball is and how much of these babies have taken over. This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. But Monday night, the Padres are up seven runs, I think, and it's in the eighth inning. The bases are loaded, and Fernando Tatis Jr. comes up with on a 3-0 count, and the third base coach says, take the pitch, no problem. We're up 7 runs, no big deal. Instead, he goes ahead and swings and hits a grand slam. Now, I don't see the big deal in this because I've seen crazier things. But the game was over, technically, I guess you could say. And he had to apologize because the unwritten rules in baseball. This is where baseball loses me again. It's a 3-0 count. The bases are loaded. What do? Take the pitch, let another run in. Just swing the bat. Who cares? And he swings, and then he has to apologize because he hit a grand slam on a 3-0 count, up 7 runs. This is again where baseball just absolutely loses me, and it just speaks volumes about the sport, how far down it's gone. These unwritten rules, how you literally can't do anything without somebody getting upset in that sport. So I don't know, like a bat flip, then you have to fight the pitcher the next time because you're going to get beamed. I don't know. It's just like they just lose me on so much of this. I don't think it's a big deal that he hit a grand slam up 7 runs. Who cares? The game's over anyway. He's swinging the bat. Either it's you're up 8 runs or you're up 11. What's the big deal?
I'm back, by the way.
Okay. All right.
I am here. We're good. Yeah, this situation is the eighth inning. Like, it's 7-0. Yes, you feel like that's we don't need any more runs, but these are professionals. I've seen a 7-0. I've seen a 7-run lead evaporate at all levels of baseball. It's not impossible. It's not impossible. Why give your team an even better chance at winning? We're trying to win, right? Isn't that the goal? We're trying to win. Now, I understand if as a team your philosophy is don't swing at the 3-0 pitch. We're trying to get on base. Why risk hitting into a double play? Why ground out? Take that pitch. If he got assigned to take the pitch, and he decided to swing, and it's like, great, you swung, you hit a grand slam, but like we wanted you to take the pitch. You could have easily hit it into the ground or a fly ball, and then we're done. Done with this, sequence of at bats in this situation. Hey, I'm glad he hit it, but this was a teachable moment. About we wanted him to take the pitch. This is our philosophy. Blah 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 blah. Not, hey, let the pitcher get the strike. Why? We're trying to win. I'm not trying to help him out, help his feelings. I'm gonna hurt his feelings. These are professionals. There's like all the stuff I see before about like, oh, you can't taunting. You know what? Let them taunt. They're adults. They're grown men. At least they should be. And they're getting paid. Let them taunt each other as much as they want. Let them go bananas. 3-0 count. If you're a hitter, especially the type of hitter that he is, even if some guys do have, hey, you get the green light. Hey, 3-0, take the pitch. Let's just see, let him prove that he can throw a strike. Unless you see and you sit on a pitch, you say, I'm not swinging unless I see that curveball again. If I see that curveball, I'm hammering it out of the park. And if you go back to the dugout, like, hey, why'd you swing 3-0? Hey, I saw the curveball I wanted. I took a shot. Whatever. Hey, move on. That is how it usually works. Same with 3-1. Hitters count. You sit on a pitch. You say, I want to see if this guy can throw a strike. If he throws the pitch I want, I swing. If not, I lay off. And hey, I'll let the count ride full. That's generally the approach. Yeah. And I'd understand if it was like, hey, he went against our philosophy. We gave him a sign not to swing. He swung. I'm a little upset by that. But not saying, why are we pouring it on? Not say this is a teachable moment. Not saying, it's an unwritten rule to take there. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's an unwritten rule to take there because of wanting to gain an advantage. Not it's an unwritten rule to not swing at that pitch because you don't want to hurt the pitcher's feelings. Like what? Yeah. What? If I was
is it like? Are we playing Babe Ruth here? Like, are you in Little League?
Yeah.
On the small field there. Like you get up 10 runs and then
that Padres team led by Tatis was part of a 7-run comeback last year. They were down like 7 runs late in a game and came back. That whole team should know that like 7 runs is nothing. Like it can
Yeah.
happen.
Also,
So
the Rangers are complaining about it. How about
wah.
like here's an idea for you. Suck less next time. I don't know what to tell you. Like you're down 7 runs. What's seven? What's 11? Who cares? It's not little league, and it's just like baseball has so many of these unwritten rules that it's insufferable at this point. And you can't keep them all straight. There's an unwritten rule for everything, and I think they should just take those unwritten rules and shove them.
Yeah, no, it's dumb. It's so. If I was the Padres, I would fire my manager immediately. If I heard him like, if I heard the thing, if I was ownership and I heard the things I heard, like basically making this player apologize for doing his job and
Yeah.
giving it his all and help. The thing is, the next night he stole third. He stole third in like a blowout game late in it. Nobody complained then. What's the difference? Oh, come on. That's not nice to the third baseman or the pitcher. Why are you stealing third with a big lead? That's that's just uncalled for. Nobody made a big deal about that, right? Uh, I just think it's if I heard my management, and my coaching staff, making a player apologize for doing what he did, and I heard, and I would just think like, how are we becoming winners? How are we building the
Yeah.
right culture here? You ever hear people lay this at the Patriots' foot for years? Why are you going for it on fourth down when you've got like a 30-point lead? It's like, would you rather us like kick the field goal to add more points? Like
Yeah.
what's more insulting? Hey, you know what? Let's tack on this field goal right now. Or hey, I'm gonna run the ball, and if you can't stop me, too bad. Stop him. You don't like it? Stop him. Guess what? You don't want that guy to hit a grand slam. Don't throw him a lollipop over the middle of the plate. How about that?
Yeah.
How about that?
I don't know. It's just baseball just keeps going down and down and down. And I just can't. I don't know. I can't do it with the sport anymore. You got to change something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe they just it's. Don't worry. I mean,
Maybe it's time to just let it go.
it might be on its way. I mean, they're approaching the end of their regular season. They're going to have playoffs, and then they are going to be gone for a long, long time. And they're going to have to watch the hockey and basketball go on. They're going to have to watch football start up, and then basketball is going to come back in December.
And
uh,
push that out to
and,
baseball
and
season, beginning of baseball season.
and you know what? How many people are going to be caring about baseball, and how much money is going to be there? What's going to happen when all these guys, all these free agents, are going to like be holding out for their big contract, waiting for these teams to blink? And it's like, dudes, we don't have the money. The money's not there. Uh,
Yeah.
it's baseball could well be on its way already. Their downward trajectory is exponentially growing. So, um, we'll see what's in. And then just on top of, I mean, it's gonna look weird. I want to pull up the standings again. I mean, there's more teams that are missing games now. And it keeps cropping up. Different guys, postponements and
Yeah.
things like
Mets,
that.
Yankees.
The Yankees are missing games again. I still think it's hysterical. The Cardinals are a playoff team right now, having only played 16 games. Meanwhile, the Cubs, who are leading their division, have won 16 games.
Yeah. Cardinals
uh,
are going to have a tough couple double headers there.
yeah, they're. Let's see their schedule. They haven't done it yet. Today, tomorrow, Tuesday, Wednesday. When do they start? Because I know they're going to have this crazy stretch of like double headers. All right, a double header on the 5th against the Cubs. They're gonna have to play. They're playing the Cubs like 8 million times here. 22, 23, 24, 25.
Yeah. Good luck.
Yeah, they kind of maybe I don't know. Maybe because other teams had to cancel, they spread it out. There's not as many. Oh no, here they are. They're all in the middle, right at the end of September. Doubleheader, 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 on and on and on and on and on. Holy cow! So many people are going to get hurt on that team. You're going to see pitchers blow out arms,
Oh,
unfortunately.
they're going to be gassed. They're going to be absolutely gassed at some point here because they're going to play a lot of baseball in a short amount of time. I think it's like
I mean, they play the.
I don't even know what it
Here
is
you
at this
go.
point,
Here
but
you go. September 14th to the 16th. 2 days. They play the Brewers 5 times.
yeah, insane.
5 times in 2 days. And then they do the same thing at the end. They play the Brewers 5 times in 2 days at the end of the regular season.
It's baseball things.
So they'll have played the Brewers 10 times in 4 days. That's insane. That is absolutely insane. Yeah. They should have just, when they didn't play for about a month, they should have just said, "Guys, go home." You know what?
Scrap them.
It was real, but yeah, go home. But that didn't happen. So, um, I guess if we wanna hit quit, the Red Sox made a trade. Christian, were you aware of this?
Woohoo!
I know. We've said that the Red Sox, and we maintain, despite a couple of somewhat decent wins here last week, they are not worth your time.
They went right back to it last night. They lost to the Orioles. So.
I maintain they are not worth your time. That stock has not moved one bit. But they trade Brandon Workman and Heath Hembree to the Phillies for a relief pitcher, Nick Pivetta, and a minor leaguer, Connor Siebold. Your thoughts, Christian?
My thoughts are your pitching staff blows, so you might as well get, shed some of the fat off, so to speak. And maybe you'll hit a diamond in the rough with one of these other guys that you get, minor leaguer, young guy. This is I would say this is probably a seller's year for the Red Sox at this point, because they are awful. And, here's one thing, though. If Chaim Bloom is thinking, I'm going to get rid of Bogarts and Devers and these guys, I think that would be one of the dumbest moves ever. I think you need to get some pitching and prospects because your farm system is just absolutely dying for any young talent. They have nothing coming up, and they have no pitching now. So, and also the free agent class sucks. So I think we can just say the Red Sox are done, and it might be a couple of years before they're back in the mix.
Do you know much about Mr. Connor Siebold?
No.
I'll tell you this: he doesn't crack the top 100 of if you looking at I look at I quickly looked up fantasy because I've been on this site earlier for fantasy baseball draft, which I still participated in because that's fun. Not watch it's more fun to play fantasy than actually watch the games for baseball right now. But he doesn't even crack their top 100 for prospects.
Oh, good. Yeah, great.
Now you traded Brandon Workman and Heath Hembree for and cash. We had to pay. Wait,
yeah.
wait, hold on. Let me read this. I didn't realize Workman, Hembree, cash, and another player to be named later for cash or more cash. So Phillies, please take these guys and give us back Nick Pivetta. Who let's look up Nick Pivetta. Let's see. Let's see what his stat line looks like. Nick Pivetta.
It can't be any worse than
career.
What we already have.
So he has he's appeared in 92 games. 396 innings pitched in his career. Oh, awesome. This is what you want from a reliever. A career 5.50 ERA. Excellent. You know what his ERA was this season? In only 3 games. 15.88.
Good. That seems like a solid trade.
Basically a 2 whip. So 2 walks or hits per inning with this guy. Oh man. Yeah.
I mean, you're at this point just trading to trade because other teams need help, and you have help that could be offered to those teams. So
I guess.
We'll see. But Jackie Bradley should be a free trade at this point.
Yeah, that we will trade you Jackie Bradley and all of the cash considerations
Yeah.
for some balls. Give us some balls. This team needs balls, literally and figuratively. All right. Anyway, so that's enough of baseball. Let's move along. We've already touched on baseball. We've touched on college. Um, where the action's at? The NBA. So let's quickly run through the NBA. Let's run through a little bit of an update here on the NBA playoffs and where each of these series stand. We'll start in the Eastern Conference. I'll give you about a minute here on each of these. Milwaukee up 2-1 on Orlando. We both thought Milwaukee was going to take this series in 4 or 5 games. I was impressed that Orlando took game 1. Milwaukee seems to have woken up a little bit here, but hey, it's still only 2-1. If Orlando finds a way to win game 4, that's just bad for the Bucks because that's just extending how much longer. Like, get rid of these guys. You don't want to be screwing around because they got tougher opponents in front of them. So I still think the Bucks are going to win this series, but I don't like it for them long term if this series gets extended by the Magic.
Yeah, I mean Orlando has put up a fight, like a decent fight. They have so many injuries on that team. Aaron Gordon's not even playing, and the Bucks are struggling. So I don't know. Chris Middleton has pretty much sucked in the bubble, which is not great for them because he's kind of your one B option for scoring, other than Giannis dunking 18 times a game. But yeah, I mean it's going to be over shortly. I mean I just don't see the Orlando putting up much of a fight the rest of the series. Like they'll be in the game maybe, but Milwaukee just they walk over that one.
A series that we were pretty, we thought was going to go the distance. It would be a very competitive series. Um, I'd say this is the biggest disappointment of the playoffs so far. The Indiana Pacers and the Heat. The Heat up 3-0. They should take Game 4. The T.J. Warren experience seems to be coming to a close.
Yeah, that fizzled out really fast after like the first 5 or 6 games in the bubble. He didn't even make it to the playoffs, and it's not to be expected. He was averaging like 50 points or something stupid. But yeah, Miami looks pretty good. They could put up a fight against Milwaukee.
Uh, Let me. Where my screen here go? All right. Next, the Toronto Raptors up 3-0 on Brooklyn. Brooklyn has been like they compete in all these games. I think Brooklyn's had the lead for even sometimes large segments of some of these games, and then the Raptors just go on a big run. They take control, and Brooklyn doesn't give up. I'll give them this: they're a good, young, scrappy team. I really like them. This is just a mismatch. I mean, Nick Nurse just named Coach of the Year. They're the reigning champs. Uh, this is one of those like it's a gentleman's sweep. I give Brooklyn's getting swept and they're gonna get swept, but I give them a lot of respect for how they've competed. Again, another injury riddled team that just doesn't have enough to handle what the Raptors can do.
Yeah, my favorite part about this series so far is Justin Anderson telling Kyle Lowry to stop flopping. Um, but yeah, I mean Brooklyn's just not good enough, right? They just don't have enough talent. And I know Joe Harris just left the bubble for some family emergency or some emergency anyway. So that's another player that's out. And I think Brooklyn's halfway home at this point, more than halfway home, and they're probably just going to mail it in here and get the hell out. But next year is the year for them, so we'll see.
Yeah. Um, we'll come back to give a little more analysis on the Boston Celtics, but they're up 3-0. We expect Sixers. We can get more in depth to it a little later, but just very quickly, do you expect anything to change? I think the Celtics close this thing out and they dispatch of the Sixers 4-0.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Celtics sucked in Game 3, and if that game was in Philly, they probably would have lost it, to be honest with you. But that's not the case here in the bubble. So you're down 3-0 in the bubble. I think at this point, I don't know. I think you're just going to get now. Embiid is saying he doesn't want to get swept, so he'll probably play the first like 12 minutes and just light you up, and then gas out and not do anything for the rest of the game. But I have a feeling this is going to go. I mean, look, the 3 games, Boston gave their worst effort in game 3, and they still won because Tatum down the stretch, who was pretty much non-existent because of foul trouble and stuff, he just started lighting them up in the fourth quarter, and they broke away and won. So they gave them the worst effort in game 3. I think game 4 they should just clear out.
Yep, I agree. It's going to be interesting to see how some of these teams approach like being on the brink in a series. Like maybe not 3-1, but 3-0. It's like, oh man. Now, granted, there isn't the element of like, oh, we got to go travel, we got to go play. If we win this game, do we really want to like go back to the other team's place? Blah blah blah. Like, let's just get to vacation. You don't have to worry about any of that. It's like, hey, we're here. Let's just play. Flip side is, you know what? Maybe I want to get out of the bubble. Maybe I want to go home.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see the psychology of some of these teams and players. But moving on to the Western Conference now, the Rockets up 2-1 in their series. They lose last night in overtime to the Thunder. Again, I think this is a situation where if you're Houston, you want to get this series out of the way as quickly as possible. It's kind of similar to like what the Bucks are dealing with, with Orlando. It's like you should win this series. You should win this series. They can still do it in 5 games, but now it's 2-1, and now you have to play game 4. And if you lose game 4, now you got to play game 6. So I still like Houston to win this series. They are the better team by far. But OKC, well coached. They compete. A guy like Chris Paul is obviously highly motivated in this series because I think he hates James Harden now too. And so they're not gonna go away. They're not gonna fold. So the Rockets have to do what they can to just try and get out of this series quickly and move on to the next round.
Yeah, that's a tough OKC team. Gilgeous Alexander obviously hit a big shot last night. Chris Paul has done wonders for that team and their young talent. But they're a tough team, so I don't think they're going to go quietly. I think it could go 6. So, but they always give effort, and they have some good players.
I want to look up quickly what the stats are. Not OKC Thunder students. OKC stats. I want to see. He's got to be their leading scorer, Chris Paul, correct?
Um, I want to say yes, but it could be. I know Schroeder's been very good off the bench. Oh, actually, Gallinari is.
Gallinari and Alexander. Chris Paul,
Oh, actually,
20 points per game for Chris Paul, which is still very good. I mean, I thought he was going to be done. Like, I really didn't like the contract that he got when he was in Houston. I was like, why are you giving this guy all this money? Like, you're going to want to be paying this dude when he's, like, almost 40.
yeah.
But he's played really well for them. I mean, you could make a case because he's brought that team together. Like, I think without him, like guys like Gallinari aren't gonna be as successful. Gilgeous Alexander, like you could make a case like Giannis is gonna be MVP, but like Chris Paul should be an MVP candidate. The Thunder should have completely just fallen apart, like and been a
Yeah, they
lottery
shouldn't have been as good as they
and
are.
been a lottery team. Instead, he's the leader of that team, and they're in the playoffs. Like that's, I know it usually always is the best player on the best team is MVP. But you know what? I think there was a couple of years ago. I think it was 2009, 2008, 2009. Chris Johnson with the Titans, rushed for 2,000 yards again, and the Titans started the year like 0-7, and then they like made the playoffs because they went on a crazy
Yeah.
run. I was like, I think Peyton Manning got MVP that year, or Brett Favre. Maybe Brett Favre did with the Vikings. I can't remember. One of the two. And I said, I know those guys are like the best players on the best teams, but Chris Johnson is the most valuable player. If you really want to go with value, like who means the most to their team, obviously you take the best player off the best team, that's going to suck, but you can say that about anybody. Who's giving the most and getting the most out of a team? Chris Paul is getting so much out of the Thunder right now, it's unreal.
Yeah, I mean they're a tough team. They play hard and they have good young talent. I think Gilgeous Alexander, with or without Chris Paul, with or without the guys around him, I think he's has potential to be a pretty big star for them. Um, he's a good young talent. He can drive, shoot, and Chris Paul is only kind of heightened his level, and they play hard. I mean, there's something to say. I mean, especially in the bubble, right? They don't have to go to Houston. They don't have to go, back and forth, home and away. That's another team that I think, what, they play hard, they play tough. They're going to be with you neck and neck most of the game, and I think they had the largest blowout in the overtime last night. So that's a tough team, and I think Houston will have some trouble, at least closing out, and they might get another game off them.
Yeah. Um, so next series is kind of a disappointment too. I mean, I think maybe just in terms of our expectations, Denver and Utah. Utah leading 2-1 in that series. I think Denver is the better team. Utah, though, has just played better, if that makes sense. I know you took Utah in 7. I took Denver in 6. We expected it to be a longer series, but honestly, I'm disappointed with what I'm seeing out of Denver right now. And it's kind of been like their thing the last like 2-3 years, where they're like the hot sexy pick. Like, ooh, what about the Nuggets? Like there was before LeBron went to LA, there was like this quiet last push. Like the Nuggets were like this like sleeper team that were like making a push for LeBron because of their length, and their wing talent and the way their contracts were set up. There was like, we could bring in LeBron, and then like in 2 years we could bring in Joel Embiid as well, or we could bring in Giannis. Like they had this whole crazy pitch. They've kind of been that, like, they should be that ascending team, and they get to this point. They're the 3 seed. They should beat Utah, and they're down 2-1 because I just feel like they don't. There's like an intensity missing there with them, I think. And Utah, with Quinn Snyder, the way he coaches, you have to be ready for the intensity. And I just think they're not matching it right now.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree. I mean, I think Utah is almost just as good as that Nuggets team, though. Um, But you just talked about like Jamal Murray hasn't played great, but Donovan Mitchell's a superstar. Mike Conley, I like the 1-2 punch for those guys. Mitchell and Conley, they have been good together. Gobert is obviously a force in the middle, big paint presence. And then you have like a guy like Joe Ingles who can shoot the three, he can handle the ball, with a couple guys coming off the bench. Jordan Clarkson, who shoots 100 times, but he can score in bunches. Um, Moutier is another guy that can score. He doesn't play a lot, but they have decent players on that team. And, the top end of Mitchell, Conley, Gobert, and Ingles, that's pretty good. And I think they match up well with Denver.
Yeah. Um, are you? I assume you're sticking by your pick, Utah in 7.
I'm sticking with Utah. I don't know if it's going to go 7 at this point, but
All right. Clippers up 2-1 in their series. It was impressive. Orlando won, their first game. Portland won game 1. Dallas, won game 1.
could have won. Yeah, could have won game 1 if not.
Won game 2.
Oh, no.
Could have won game 1. This is in my head. But these lower seeds have been competing with the higher seeds. Unfortunately, here for the Mavericks, Luka got hurt. And you know what, Christian? I hate to be right. Now, I know it wasn't the same play. I was envisioning him, the way he likes to run and jump into the paint and, like, really hang in the air like he's going to shoot and then, like, turn and twist and contort and chuck it back out, and you get the defense to collapse and you get wide open looks for guys. It's great, but I worry about his durability. And he was missing all those free throws, too. I don't know if that had to do anything to do with maybe another injury he's dealing with, because I know in one of the last, like, regular season games, I think it may have been against Milwaukee, he took a beating. Like, he was hitting the deck. I mean, he's not afraid of contact. He likes to draw contact. But he kept, like, holding his arm. He's wearing that sleeve. I wonder about, like, what he was maybe dealing with already, if that was affecting his free throw shooting, because, he's too good to be that bad from the line. I mean, maybe a guy misses, like, 1, or 2. He missed, like, 5 in a row. Like, that's kind of...
Yeah, I don't know. I think he just had a honestly bad night. Like, he wasn't shooting the ball well either. Like, he just didn't look like I mean, he almost had a triple double, but that's kind of, it doesn't really tell you the story. I mean, obviously got hurt too, but he just looked off, to be honest with you. He missed 5 threes. He was
Yeah.
not good from the
No, and
line.
he looked. He normally has this like kind of like flair and like you can tell he's passionate about the game and just loves and he's happy and he's smiling. He just loves playing the game. He looked like burnt. The dude looked exhausted. He looked like he was in pain before he actually got hurt on another like just you don't want to even look at it like ankle twister.
Yeah,
So I don't know if they've let's see if there's any update on his status. They say he's a game time
game
decision,
time. Yeah, game
which
time. Yeah.
I guess good, nothing alarming in his MRI, but still, again, it's like for a guy for his style of game, he doesn't have the quickest release, so he relies on his elevation, his ability to elevate into his quickness. How does that affect now his shooting, his ability? If is he still dealing with an upper body injury, which I think he is. I don't think they're saying anything, but just given the way he was looking in that game already, the dude looked labored. And I know the Clippers make it hard on you, but I unfortunately I think if he's not close to 100%, the Mavericks don't. They can't even come close in this series, and they could lose the next two, and what would have been a really long, entertaining series is going to be over quite quickly, unless Porzingis decides to just become a monster, which I don't know if mentally he's there yet, and can just dominate because he should dominate, but he hasn't. He's put up points, but I think he can even be a bigger force against a smaller Clippers team. But without Luka 100%, I just they rely so he's the engine that makes that team go, and without him, I just don't think they can do it because they're not good defensively. They can't stop the Clippers. They have to outscore them,
No.
and if you don't have Luka at 100%, that's not happening.
Yeah, I don't see Mavericks winning the series. They might get another game, but without Luca, it's pretty much Porzingis has got to go out and score 54, and maybe you have like Seth Curry score 30. But I don't know. Kawhi was going the other night. He was dynamite in that game three, and Paul George sucked. I don't know. One of them is not playing well, and then the other is. So that team is weird to me, and they're still in a weird spot. They're going to win this series, I think, but going forward, I don't know if they get through a number of other teams. Like it's going to be tough. I feel like if they're not on the same page, and I mean Marcus Morris has played pretty well for them, but I feel like this team reminds me of like the Celtics. They just have all these guys, and I don't know what they do with all these guys. If so many people that can put on the floor and everybody wants to shoot. If Kawhi is taking over games, though, you're in good shape if you're the Clippers.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to them is like if they. I think Denver's kind of like I said. I think they're a little lethargic. They don't bring enough energy to me and intensity. So the Clippers could, if they face them, they'd have a chance to advance. If you play Utah, Utah is one of the best defensive teams perennially under Quinn Snyder in the league. So you're going to get D'd up, and if you've got Mitchell and Connolly going how they're going right now, that is going to be an incredibly tough matchup for the Clippers. And if they're not
Yeah,
like you said, and we've said for a while now, they have so much talent, but how do those puzzle pieces all fit together? Do these guys even have proper chemistry when it gets to crunch time? Do they have those money plays? Do they have the trust? Now Doc, I think, is a great coach, and I know he's probably hammering that home to these guys, and trying to instill that in them. I haven't seen it yet. Like you said, you see stretches where it's like, okay, it's Paul George time, and now it's Kawhi time, and the two of them on the floor at the same time. It doesn't really look right. It doesn't seem to fit. So we'll see what happens if that becomes a second round matchup. Now to the other series in the West. Los Angeles Lakers win last night, 116-108. The Blazers led for most of the first half, a little bit into the third quarter, and then the Lakers score 40 points in the third. They never surrender the lead again, and they go on to win to take a 2-1 series lead after dropping Game 1 to Dame Dalla and his boys. Christian, my take last night is that the refs tried to give this game. The Trailblazers did themselves no favors because they The defense, the drop defense they were playing, the way they were defending pick and roll was just basically giving Anthony Davis either free runs at the rim or open jump shots. You shouldn't be. You have to try your best to not let the other superstar get easy looks. And the
Yeah.
defense they were running was terrible. I'd expect them to go back to the drawing board and change that up, because if AD is rolling, the Lakers are going to be unstoppable because LeBron can turn it on and off at will. So he's going to get AD going, and then if it's a close game, LeBron's going to be able to do his thing and manage himself and just take over at late in games. But that game shouldn't have been close because the refs gave the Lakers 43 free throws. 43. And the Trailblazers, they got 3 more late in the game. Like it was like the garbage time, like final minute. They got 19. Still, that's an insane disparity. 40. Now the Lakers bricked like almost like half of them. They were 65% from the line, and that was not like they were hacking like Dwight Howard. Anthony Davis missed multiple free throws. LeBron James missed multiple free throws. So the whole team couldn't hit free throws, and that kept the Blazers in the game. I still think this series goes 7, but I worry about the Blazers and what they're trying to do defensively, because they were just making it same deal. The Mavericks can't stop the Clippers. They just have to outscore them. The Blazers kind of seem like they're trying to do the same thing, but AD and LeBron pair very well together as opposed to Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. So you can't just be giving these guys, free reign, because they both want to attack the rim, and if you give them open jump shots, they'll make you pay. You got to make the ball go somewhere else. Make Contavious Caldwell-Pope and Kyle Kuzma beat you. Make Markieff Morris beat you. Don't give LeBron and AD wide open looks to run at the basket. So I'm down on the Trailblazers defense, but I still think that they can find a way to score enough. And I don't think the refs will give the Lakers 40 free throws again. I still think the series is going 7.
Yeah. This will be, I don't know. Let's see, 2-1. I think it'll be over in 5, but I hate being right? Like the Lakers is going to win this series. They're going to win this series, and they'll move on. Now, Portland is putting up a good fight, I will say that. And when you're a plus 24 in free throws, you're probably going to win the game. But it'll be interesting to see. Now, obviously, right? You would be going to Portland here for Game 4, or staying in Portland for Game 4. I think this is such a weird element in the bubble, and it's kind of good because the disparity has been great in the league and the product's been phenomenal. But the Lakers don't have to worry about the crowd. Obviously Portland, nobody's traveling, so we'll see what happens in Game 4. I think this is a very pivotal game. I think if Portland loses this one, I think they're pretty much done, and they probably just lose it in 5 if they lose in game.
Did
you 4, but...
did you see Damian Lillard try to summit Anthony Davis and basically get reverse posterized?
No, I didn't see that.
Lillard took off from like inside the free throw line, and tried to throw it down, and Anthony Davis just gobbled it up, denied it at the rim, and swatted it back in. And I think it even went off Lillard's head and back up the court. It was all oh! You were like, oh, he's gonna. Oh no, he's not. Oh my God. Yeah, not good. Not a good look for Dame. Here's the thing, and like I said, the free throw thing gets me. It's and is it? I don't think it's biased. Usually it's the aggressive team will get to the line, but Portland's they don't just settle for threes. They're not the Rockets. They go to the rim as well. Lillard, McCollum, those guys are both. They like to attack the rim. They're both physical. In the paint. Nurkic, is a true post player, and they give him tons of looks to go at the rim. I didn't think Portland was just passive. What team? The Clippers average 22 free throws a game. That leads the league. 22 per game is the league leading, free throw average. The Lakers had 20-something free throws in the middle of the second quarter.
Yeah.
That, it's just it's and it was clear, So I I don't want to say it's the refs. I don't want to say it's the league trying to set up LA, but certainly feels that way when one team is getting that many free throws.
Also, I also think the NBA does not get the benefit of the doubt. They do it to themselves because of that whole scandal with Donahue and or Donaghy, I think. But
Donaghy, yeah.
either yeah, Donahue. Either way, they did it to themselves long ago. And I mean, look, there is like if you look at odds and betters and all this, they have lines on these refs and how they're going to call it. And a lot of the time, there's patterns in this. So I'm not saying it's fully rigged or anything like that. Obviously, it's not. You got to go out and play. But these refs sometimes just they call stuff that's not there. And when you're a plus 24 in free throws, like that's kind of a bad look. Like it's got to even out at some point. So we'll see what happens in game 4.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That bothers me about the NBA and in the way it's handled. It's the same like, it doesn't matter what teams are in the game. Every time I see Scott Foster on the floor, I think he's going to sway it one way or another. God, does that guy suck?
Yeah. Just Adam Silver doesn't need to tell NBA refs what to do, no more so than Tom Brady had to tell his ball guys what to do. Plausible
Exactly.
deniability.
That pretty much sums it up.
Yeah. So let's circle back quickly to the Boston Celtics. They're up 3-0 in their series against Philadelphia. I just think Philly, that team, it's all year. They have talent. They don't have any scoring. They have no shooting, and especially without Ben Simmons, who kind of like helps them play this big half court game. Doesn't Without him, they're a shell. Al Horford looks completely cooked. I don't know if he just doesn't want to be here. I don't know if it's the bubble. I don't know if it's Philly. If he feels like he made picked the wrong team there, Al, or if he's just he's over the hill now. I'm not sure which it is. I don't think Philly really can do much different. I think Brett Brown sucks as a coach. I think they're in a completely terrible situation because of the money that they're going to owe some of these free agent guys, or that they tried to like patch this team, and I think they're going to get swept. And I would not be surprised if this is the last game we see Joel Embiid in a Sixer uniform. Hot take.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked at that either. Hopefully, he doesn't go to Golden State. But I would say the biggest takeaway. So on Al, real quick, I think Horford is in a bad situation. I think he can still play, and I think he has the brain for it. But I think he honestly, to me, he doesn't look gassed. He doesn't look old. He doesn't look anything like that. He looks like he doesn't know where the hell he is half the time on the floor. So I don't know if it's just a situation where they didn't fit him in well, and he just doesn't work with that team. That's what it looks like to me. And I think Brett Brown, I think he sucks. So he's the first guy to go, and then this team has been a mess all year between Simmons and Embiid. So one of those guys has got to go, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's Embiid. Embiid has a lot of freaking talent. He can be a really, really dominant force, but he is kind of lazy. Like, he doesn't look like he's in very great shape. He is gassed after one quarter, and I don't know. Like, I would take him on my team, obviously, but I think he needs a better coach to kind of, I don't know, pump him up a little bit, because he's gassed out after like 10 minutes of playing. And granted, he doesn't have a lot around him, but man, the Sixers really effed up when they signed Tobias Harris to a max contract.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be your second guy, and he's given them pretty much nothing.
Yeah.
Josh Richardson has been your second, even Shake Milton. Those two have been way better than Tobias Harris. I don't know why or what. Maybe the bubble is just not suiting him well. But man, he is just not playing well. And I think the Sixers overall, they need a big change in there, and fast, because whatever they're doing ain't working. They got a lot of talent, and even with Simmons, I don't know if they win this series. It's obviously a little bit more competitive, but first and foremost, get that coach out of there and get someone new in there, because they blow.
Yeah. And we didn't hit on this last week so quickly about the Celtics. Obviously, I think we both understand at this point. They should be able to take care of business against the Sixers either in Game 4 or Game 5, and move on. And they'll be facing Toronto. That matchup will be tough. We'll have time to see a couple of games and break that down next week. But Brad Stevens gets an extension. Your thoughts on Brad Stevens getting an extension, and he's going to be even more so the long-term coach of the future here for the Boston Celtics. I think good. I'm very happy with Brad. I don't think you're going to find, just because a guy hasn't won a championship yet, I don't think that's like, oh well, going to run him out of town. I think you're not going to do much better than him out there right now. And so let the guy keep working. It seems they have a really great arrangement. It seems in a relationship between him, Ainge, and ownership. They all like each other. They all work together well. Keep it going. Keep building this thing the way they've been doing it.
Yeah. I think. I mean, look. I don't think the other options are, you know, anywhere close to what Stevens will give you. So I'm okay with what they did. At the same time, Stevens does piss me off from time to time with his roster movement here. And I mean, for the most part, this series has been pretty straightforward. But there's been times where he's like hanging on for dear life with Semi Ojeleye, and it just bugs the crap out of me. Now, granted, Hayward's hurt, so that kind of adds to it. But God, his rotations just sometimes just like I think they could pay me, and I'll go, send players in and out better. Um, and so there's a couple things that bother me, but I mean, when you look at the other options around the league, would you rather have Brett Brown? Probably not, right? So I'm okay with Stevens being here long term. I don't think that's any, I think they need a little bit of bench help and maybe another player on the rotation. But I think overall he's a good coach, and he'll put them in a position to win.
Yep. So that's it for the playoffs. A little playoff update. Obviously, games are going to happen today, and some of these series will get closed out by the time we get to next week. Just want to hit quickly on the NBA lottery. I think now that is set, I think it'd be a good time. Maybe next week or the week ahead, we'll bring on our NBA salary cap draft expert, Matthew Murphy. We'll get him in here to kind of break down kind of what's happened here. I'd say we just run to the top. Your top 10 picks: Minnesota, Golden State, Charlotte, Chicago, Cleveland, Atlanta, Detroit, New York, 8, Washington, and Phoenix gets a top 10 pick. Going to be really interesting to see what happens at the top there between Minnesota and Golden State. Minnesota obviously trying to retool. Golden State getting all their guys healthy again. They have the second pick in the draft. I think there's a lot of guys, Christian, that we like. I think personally both of us are really interested to see where does Obi Toppin go. I think if he wound up in somewhere like Golden State, that is honestly terrifying, especially if they can swing some sort of other moves and the guys they already have. There's also the rumors about like an Embiid trade to Golden State and some three-way deal with Minnesota. Like there's all these different little things. Golden State having the second pick in the draft just makes this whole process like completely bonkers because there's so many options that are on the table.
Yeah, Golden State sucks. They're gonna be there. I don't have to watch basketball next year because I think they're gonna win the whole thing again. Uh, Between Curry and Thompson coming back, Draymond Green, they have Wiggins now, and then they're gonna get like Anthony Edwards or someone like that, and everybody else is just gonna be, um, you know, it's like one, and then the rest of the league, Golden State. So I think it sucks, but it is what it is. Now Minnesota is an interesting one, um, just because like I don't know what the hell they're doing with like Karl Anthony Towns, and they have D'Angelo Russell. I don't know what their plan is up there. Do they trade Russell? Do they go ball? So I mean, if I were them, I would take Anthony Edwards, but Toppin obviously is out there as well, who's probably going to be like a top 5, top 6, 8 pick. But yeah, I don't know. I think it kind of sucks that Golden State is in the position they're in. But hey, it is what it is.
Russell might just retire if he gets replaced by a Ball brother again. Like, I think I
True.
would just call
Yeah.
it quits at that point.
Me too. Yeah. Although I think, yeah, LaMelo has a lot of hype. I'm not sure he can play yet, but we'll see.
Yeah. Had a question from Pete in Narragansett. Will the NBA 2021 season start in December, and will they go back to a bubble? There actually was news on this. They've set December 1st as a start date. Oh, excuse me. But they're saying that's not set in stone. That can be pushed back. I bet you they're going to want to start on Christmas Day like they've been wanting to for years. So that, sometime December they'd start. Their idea is like a regional bubble. And so what would happen is you'd create like an Eastern, imagine kind of the way like they split the country now, like when you formulate divisions, you have like Central, Western, Southern, Eastern. And they would have regional bubbles, and what would happen is you would play you would play teams in that bubble, and then you would have for like a month, and then you'd have 2 weeks off to go, travel, acclimate, quarantine, test negative, train for a little bit, and then begin another month of play in that next regional bubble. And so that's the way the NBA is approaching next season. So looking at sometime December, and having this like regional bubble approach instead of having to put everybody back in one big bubble. But that's also not off the table, especially with so far how well it's gone. But I think probably for the duration of an entire season, this year was just, hey, these teams come in. In 2 weeks, we're going to eliminate most of them. You guys can go home. In 2 weeks after that, another half of them will be gone and eliminated. So it's mostly about getting a playoff system going. I think for an entire season to function, this regional bubble solution will work. And I think it's great. The NBA from the get-go has been ahead of everybody else on this, on everything. They're the ones forging new science on how to test people. So if I trust the
Yeah.
league to figure out the best way to have a full regular season, it's them. It's the NBA. So I like what they've said so far about the regional bubble approach. But if it's not that, I trust them that they're going to find the best solution. And you know what? Their players, with how much they engage with their players and listen to their players, they're going to get something done that everybody will be happy with.
Yeah, I think they'll, obviously you have to wait kind of and play it by ear once, once you get closer to that start. But I would imagine they're going to back it up from December 1st and later towards Christmas, more towards Christmas, or maybe even like a couple days after. But I would guess that, you have a plan in place, and then we'll see what happens with the virus and everything like that. But if I'm trusting anybody, it's the NBA. They're involved in just about any way to, solve this kind of how to play in this time. So I trust them more than a lot of other leagues or anything, to be honest.
Yeah. So, Pete, thanks for the question. Again, if you're watching us live, you can comment on those live streams, and the questions will come right to us. If you're listening after the fact, the show, we're live every Sunday at 11 a.m. If you can't catch us live and can't interact with us live on the show, you can always hit us up through Instagram and Twitter. And you can email the show, the360sportshow at gmail.com. And we'll go to the mailbag and we check in with those. If you guys email us throughout the week, we can get to those messages, and we'll read them here on the show. And again, if you can't catch us live, you can catch the show as a podcast. Anywhere podcasts can be found, you can find us. Just look for the 360 Sports Show. Let's move now to the NHL, and we'll quickly run down here.
Well, real quick, we got some breaking news here.
Ooh, we now go live to Christian Lauper with some breaking news.
The Ravens, according to Adam Schefter, the Baltimore Ravens are going to be moving on from Pro Bowl safety Earl Thomas.
Wow.
They will either release him for conduct detrimental to the team, he punched his teammate Chuck Clark, or they will trade him. Dallas is the leading contender if he's released, per sources, but his time in Baltimore is over.
Wow. Wow. So how soon is he going to be on the Patriots?
Yeah.
Patrick Chung opted out. Let's see. I hadn't seen anything on this. Wow. So Earl Thomas actually posted on his Instagram last night, and it was like he copied a story from Terrell Thomas, who must be a reporter. Baltimore Ravens star safety Earl Thomas was involved in a fight with his teammate and was sent home from the facility on Friday. The Ravens could suspend and or cut Thomas due to the incident. And then Earl Thomas puts on top of it, at Ravens, y'all better not cut Earl.
Did he miss his account there? Did he f up his burner?
No, this is his actual Instagram account, and he added the Ravens and said, "Y'all better not cut at Earl," which is him.
So he talks about himself in the third person.
Yeah, basically.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yep. That about sums it up. I think you should cut him right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, this guy. Oh wow. So where does he go? I mean, he's got it.
Dallas.
Dallas is a good one. Let's see. Earl Thomas contract. Do. Want to see how much money
After all this, he's going to go back to Seattle.
there. Ah, man. Let's see. Total guaranteed. They owe him like $40 million in. Wow. Oh wait, never mind.
Insane.
Yeah.
He has a big contract though.
Let's see. Let me go. Actually, let me go to the Ravens. If I go to the Ravens themselves, because that'll tell me exactly what their dead cap will be, on him. So if they cut him right now, it's $25 million. Oh my God!
Jesus.
Is that bad? I mean, guys get in fights all the time. How bad was this fight? All pro defense got into a fight with teammate Chuck Clark on Friday. Thomas was reportedly sent home following the incident. He was not at practice on Saturday. How bad was the fight? I mean, I'd understand if you punched a coach, but like guys get into scuffles on the field all the time. You send them home. You know, if it gets bad, guys get into little scrums, separate them. Hey, take a lap. But to cut the guy and to have a dead cap hit of $25 million. Whoa.
Okay, so here's the key though. So conduct detrimental to the team clause provides potential for relief on salary.
How?
Or the cap hit.
But conduct. I mean, how do you say that though? I mean, because like they're not going to win that. This is one of those things that's going to be tied up for years in court, and then it's like, the Ravens do actually have to pay him, and that money.
No, you punch a teammate in the face. I think you could sneak your way into.
But did he punch him in the face like they were standing like on the field, no helmet, no nothing, and he just like hauled off on a guy and basically assaulted him for no reason, or was it like, it was after a play and they got into it and he like punched him in the helmet? You know what I mean? I'm just asking. Like I'm kind of stunned right now. Let me see if there's
So here's just a quick hit on it. Is Thomas and Clark yelled at each other on the sideline and had to be restrained by teammates and coaches, with Thomas putting up his fists at one point. So I don't know. I don't see any video or anything because I'm guessing media wasn't there.
I think I might have. Is this a video? This is like a thing about Earl Thomas. I saw at the end of this like practice video footage, so I'm wondering if they actually had footage of it. Oh, this might be it.
Yeah, I don't see anything in terms of video, but go right where to go. You got to go right to the comments.
Oh,
that's where everybody goes.
Yeah, this is it. I mean, it doesn't show you it, but something happens. He gets, let's see. There's a deep ball thrown over the top for a touchdown. Earl Thomas gets pissed, rips off his helmet, and then just starts screaming at somebody. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm
Now
sure.
is the time to play the WWE meme with Belichick walking into the Lions Stadium.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh my god. Wow. Stunning. Because of the name, because of how important he is to them, but then because of how much, conduct detrimental to the team. Yes, they can recoup some money, but that is going to require a legal fight. So, wow. Alrighty. Well, we will be getting back to NFL news, and if anything more breaks on this, we will bring that to you. Um, this lit up the comment section. This Colin chimes in with either trade or release. Dallas is a fronter. Um, Colin says he'll pass on that contract. If he gets released though and cut, I mean, you don't have to trade for him. If he's on the street, it's no different than like when Antonio Brown got cut. He's cut.
Yeah, you just win him.
That money is slotted. That dead cap hit. That's on the Ravens. That money that they owe him is theirs. You could sign him for the veteran minimum.
Yeah. I mean, that's what you would do. Obviously, if I don't think anybody like you release all this news, right, that you're going to cut them or trade them. You're probably not going to trade them now because you're telling everybody you're going to cut them.
Yeah, yeah. It's unless you're that team that like really wants him, you trade like a seventh round pick, something. You
Exactly.
just
Yeah.
just to guarantee that you get him instead of him going to the market. Um, wow. So yeah, we'll certainly we will circle back to this as more news trickles in on that. We're just going to quickly now here go through. The NHL completed the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. They had the seeding games and they had the round robin round and all that, the seeding round. But first round of the true Stanley Cup playoffs is in the books, and I'd say really not too many surprises except for the Islanders beating the Capitals in 5. So that series was rather stunning. Vancouver takes out the champs. So that is really surprising. The Blues, they look like they were in the same seat as the Bruins, and clearly they couldn't flip the switch. So let's start with those two series because those are the series where there's surprises. Everything else, Vegas 1-5, Avalanche 1-5, Philly, thank God, God bless, knocked out the Canadiens in 6 games. The Lightning, after that 5 overtime madness, do what we expected them to do. They take out the Blue Jackets. Bruins, again, 5 games. They take care of the Hurricanes. We'll have some Bruins notes as well. Dallas takes care of business. But those two series, Vancouver and the Islanders, those are really surprising to me because of what the Blues have been all year, and then the Capitals and how this could be another situation. Like, what do they look like now after this season? Those are the two series that really stuck out and surprised me from this first round.
Yeah, I can't say I'm surprised because of the way it's you go up to the bubble, it's a restart. It's just kind of a different element that you add in with all the you're quarantined up there, and the NHL has good like there's good parity in the league anyway. So I would just I think it's just another case of the NHL is the best product in the world when it gets to the playoffs, but the Caps, I thought we were going to put up more of a fight. I'll say that. Obviously, Backstrom got hurt, which did not help them. And then they pretty much gassed out in game 4 to avoid the sweep and then came out in game 5 pretty flat. Um, Now, the Isles are a very good team, and Barry Trotz is a really good coach. So that team is really, really solid. Now, Philly has been the hottest team in the league before the restart, and now they are continuing that here. They have a lot of talent, and their goaltender is playing really well. Um, but Tampa Bay to me is still the best team in the East, regardless of points and any of that other stuff. They just have the best roster, most talent. If they play up to it. Now Vasilevsky uh, can take a whiz right down his leg at any moment, so he's kind of a scary one in net for them. But the high end talent on that team, they have a deep roster, both forwards, defense. That team scares me, and I'm not sure the Bruins can get by that team. So maybe it would have been better for Montreal to win against Philly, so then we get the Isles, but the Isles are no slouch either. So
Yeah. So those series, you know, now is where now we're gonna start separating the boys from the men, so to speak. So, like you said, you kind of already gave your thoughts there on the Lightning matchup. Can the Bruins? I think we felt that they've kind of flipped the switch here, and I think part of that has to do with Tuca leaving, them kind of getting and having to get by with Pasta for a couple of days, a couple of games. I think they kind of discovered something. They've got a different energy about them. They seem like a focused team. They all are all in on the bubble. Can they win a cup with Halak, or more so, what do they need to do? Like, do you have to just accept that, like, you know what? Most games we're going to give up 2 goals a game, so we have to score 3. Now, this team's capable of that. What is your expectations for what they would need to do to win a Stanley Cup with Halak? Don't expect Halak to be like, well, if Halak plays crazy. If Halak just is him, what do the Bruins need to do to win a cup?
Uh, well, they definitely need to be better than they were in the Carolina series. I will say, I am impressed with the Bruins because of the adversity of Rask leaving. Pasternak was down a few games, and you could easily say like the Washingtons of the world in the playoffs. Well, we don't have our Vezina Trophy winning goaltender. Our best forward is out, our best scoring forward. So we don't have any secondary scoring this series on 5-on-5. So we're screwed. We'll mail it in. But they kind of went the other way. They embraced the bubble. They rallied around Halak, and I'm not surprised by it because of this leadership group. So moving forward, I think like you mentioned, they're all in. So they got to come up with 5-on-5 goals because Tampa, uh, they'll score in bunches here. So, um, can they win with Halak? Absolutely. What do they have to do? They have to be very good in front of them, much like in the Carolina series, blocking shots, good on the puck, hard on the puck. Um, make sure your sticks in a passing lane. Tampa off the rush is dangerous. We already saw that, first game of the round robin between these two teams. And, I think if you get by Tampa, you're in a good spot. Philly and the Islanders are both very, very good, but Tampa to me has the highest level roster. So I mean, really, the key for me, the Bruins have been pretty good in their own zone. Um, they've gotten hemmed down there a bit, but overall, I think they've been pretty good. And the key is, can you score 5-on-5 goals? Because they didn't score many in the Carolina series. They scored a bunch of power play goals. But the 5-on-5 scoring has to come, and it has to come in the series in waves because I don't think you're going to get as many power play goals as that first series. Um, Now, you better hope you do because it's a weapon for you. But 5-on-5 scoring is a problem. So I think that's the biggest improvement that you need to make. Because overall, I think Halak has had some iffy spots, and then he's been very good in others. So hopefully he, stands stout. And I know the schedule is going to be tough, so they might have to go to Vladar in a game or two, which is not great. You'd rather have Rask and Halak, but the 5-on-5 scoring is the biggest key.
Yeah. Um, so this brings us to Tuukka Rask, who left the bubble. We all, at the time, with the news we had, said, it didn't look good. Optics Man did not look favorably upon Rask, who said that it didn't feel right. He wasn't having fun. He wished he was golfing, as that's what he was normally doing at this time, and blah, 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 blah. No fans. It doesn't feel like the playoffs. And then the next day, up and leaves. Some news has come out. Evidently, this is from Cam Neely, talking about that there was a situation with his daughter. He kind of spoke, and then on EEI, WEEI, with host Greg Hill, this is what he said. I can tell you that he got a phone call in the bubble from his wife because there was a medical emergency with their daughter, basically the kind of situation where I believe Tuukka Rask did what every parent would do and was obviously very concerned, said Hill on Wednesday. It was suggested they seek medical help, without revealing what that was because I think I probably should leave that to him. He did tell me, as a father of two kids, I would be panicked and alarmed upon hearing that about a young kid. So he obviously made the choice to go home and tend to that, which you cannot blame Tuca one bit for. You know, we said, like, we wanted to hear something like this. You know, this is totally, not that you have to justify it, but you have to say, like, especially the way things had gone, you have to say, like, I have to go home. I need to be with my family. There's an emergency. There's nothing wrong with that, I think. So now that we know this, I think we can lay off a little bit on why Tuca left. Maybe it had more to do with this. Here's the question, Christian. Would you take Tuca back? Would you take Tuca back if this situation comes down with his family and if he wanted to come back to the bubble and play? But also, does he even want to? And would you want him to, given that you know nothing's probably changed about how he feels about the bubble to begin with? So it's kind of the two prongs of it. Do you want him back because of his talent and his potential? Or would you want to say, you know what, no matter how good you can be, I think your head's not in this anyways, and we'd rather just soldier on without you? Would you take Tuca back?
At this point, I think you just move forward with the guys that have been up there. Um, I don't think there's any like who knows if he comes back focused, and there's just too many elements to that. I'd rather just stick with the lock, have this group kind of rally around that, and give it one last chance here with Chara and these guys, and just see what you have in Halak. I don't know if you just it's just another element in this bubble that I don't know if like I think the team would obviously take him back, but I think I'm just rolling with Halak at this point.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. I think you're in, you're out, you're in, you're out, and Tuca, you wanted to go home to deal with this emergency with your family. Go do that. We wish you luck. We wish you well. I think maybe this changes a little bit about what we thought about. Will do people in the building feel like he left them, that he abandoned them? Uh, do you move on from him next year? Maybe that sort of talk and the brakes can be pumped. Aside from just the play on the ice, it might just be time anyways. Maybe take advantage, sell high on the guy, and move in a different direction. That because of the flexibility it would give you to continue to build your team, especially if this guy might only be a year or two away from just retiring. So maybe that conversation changes somewhat. But I agree with you. You roll with the guys that are there now. I think him leaving and them rallying around Halak kind of has like galvanized the group, and I think they're ready to just roll and just play their hearts out for a cup.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think at this point you go with what you have, and hopefully Halak gets hot here. I know he went on a run with Montreal way back when. Unfortunately for him, Carey Price was right behind him, and he's obviously a better goaltender. But um, there's potential there for Halak to, who knows? He can stand on his head a couple of games, and who knows what happens. He's got to get a little bit better, but also, I mean, I can't really blame the guy. He's played what now? 4 games, three to 4 games in like 5 months. So now it's go time here in the second round with Tampa tonight. Starts game one, so it'll be interesting to see. That's an interesting part of it. Is can Halak kind of be more stout? He let in a couple of soft goals in that series against Carolina. So if he can be even a little bit better, I think the Bruins have a chance. But Tampa's going to be tough no matter what. So I think you're looking at least 6, 7 games. I don't know. I think it's going to be a long series if the Bruins are scoring 5-on-5.
All right, so we'll quickly let's just real quick run down. We'll pick each of these second round series. So Vegas and Vancouver. I will take Vegas in 6.
I'm going to say Vancouver in 7.
Vancouver in 7. The Colorado Avalanche and the Dallas Stars. Dallas has already won Game 1. That game actually that happened last night, already in the books. Despite that, I am still going to take the Avalanche in 7 games.
This is a tough one. I love Colorado's roster. They got a lot of lot of young talent, but I think I'll take Dallas in six.
Alrighty. Philly and the Islanders. Philly has probably been one of the best teams since coming back to the bubble. And then the Islanders here, obviously they get the big win over the Capitals. Did they kind of? I think maybe the Islanders kind of emotionally that might for a team that's got a lot of young guys too. I think maybe they've kind of emotionally that their Stanley Cup beating the Capitals 4-1. I think Philly takes care of them in 5 games. Philly in 5.
Yeah, I'll say Philly. I think Philly in probably seven. I think this is gonna be a close series. New York has a lot of young guys, like you mentioned, but their coach has been there before, and I think he'll have them ready to go. So I think it's gonna be a long series, and both these teams match up well against each other. So I think it'll be a fun series to watch.
And then lastly, Bruins Lightning. Your picks for this series, Christian.
My bias says Bruins. My brain says Tampa in probably six or seven. I'll say seven.
Boston in 4. No, I'm just kidding. I am going to take the Bruins. I think, and it could change. Obviously Tampa presents a much different challenge than Carolina. I feel like the Bruins found a little something here. Now, I don't think this is going to be an easy series by any means. I think there's going to be a lot of close games. I think the Bruins might have found a little bit of that magic and that intensity that they had all year, and I think if they can keep that and translate that, they can win this series. I agree, though, it's not going to be in anything less than 7 games. This series goes the distance, as I think all but the Philly series will. These are going to be long series, and obviously, if we get 2 games in and Halak's getting totally lit up, then it's over. There's nothing.
Yeah.
That it could be as much as it could go 7 because of the unknowns of how Halak will hold up against a team like Tampa. It could be Tampa in 4. Sadly, you just don't know.
Yeah. That's what I would say. Is the only way this series goes short is if Tampa has their head screwed on and they just wipe you out in 5 games or something. The Bruins, I don't think will win in anything less than 6 or 7. So it's gonna be a long one.
Yeah. So that'll do it for our picks. In the comment section, Colin says it's always nice when you don't need to worry about the Caps anymore. And his picks are Vegas, Dallas, Philly, and Bruins with a little emoji. Pete also chimes in and says, can we judge guys like Tuca in this pandemic? Pro sports has always had guys who need to or out the stress for a while. Bill Walton, for example, opt out of the stress for a while. Bill Walton as an example. Or yeah, I mean, hey, look at if you watched The Last Dance, look at the actions of Dennis Rodman. Hey, I need 2 weeks off.
Yeah, right. Yeah, go to Vegas for a couple weeks.
Yo, Phil, you let this man leave. He's not coming back. So, I don't know. I don't think it was the stress so much of the bubble. I think he just wasn't into the bubble. I think Tuca, it wasn't about being, because all these guys are away from their families. Now the NBA is going to be letting, as after this first round is over, there's a whole lot of space open up, and if guys want, they can bring their families in or their girlfriends, that sort of thing, and and bring a little bit more of home to them. The NHL hasn't really expounded on any of that, but I don't think it's so much about the bubble is so stressful that he needed to leave. I think this was a situation where there was an emergency. He needed to leave. He went home. But the guy was talking before he ever got this phone call about it not being fun, about not being into it, which is completely fair. And honestly, I would rather have that guy not be there. I would rather have when I at the beginning I strictly thought it was him just saying to the team, "Listen, I'm not into this. I think it's best for the team if I go." Now, I'll get on the guy for feeling that way. Dude, you're a professional. Figure it out. But I respect him saying, going to the team and saying, the best thing for the team is for me not to play. That's incredibly tough for a decision for a guy to make. And I think he was probably already on his way to doing that, and then he gets this emergency, and that's the news we have.
I don't necessarily think it's tough for Rask. That's the thing. You know
That's
what I mean?
that's
Like
that's true.
Rask, I like look, I don't mind anybody that's opting out, anybody that wants to leave. I don't think he should have gone up there in the first place. That's where it bothers me. Like if you're not fully engaged, like if you're in game 1, game 2 of the playoffs and you're saying, well, it's just it's I'm just trying to have some fun. I don't care about the results. Your head's not in it, and obviously the emergency, you obviously go home for it. Nobody's going to blame him for that. And I wouldn't have blamed him if he opted out. But he's the only guy in the league that would have done so. So it's just and Rask has a habit of like is kind of a track record of these things, not the family emergency, but there was some other family issue. There was a time where he like crapped his pants or something, like actually crapped his pants or something. Obviously not really, but like he bowed out of a few games.
Claude, my poop's a little watery. I can't play tonight. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, so he had diarrhea. Like you get diarrhea in the middle of a series. What the hell? But I just, for me, I just don't think Rask is the type of guy that's like a Kobe Bryant or a Tom Brady or a Michael Jordan that just wants to win. He wants that his name on the cup. Um,
His name's
and
already on the cup. He already thinks he's won it.
yeah, exactly. That's kind of where like. So I don't think he wants it enough, and I'd rather just roll with Halak at that point.
Yeah, I agree. Last quick NHL thing before we hit on the NFL quickly and then wrap things up here on the 360 Sports Show. Mike Milbury is officially out of NHL playoff broadcasts. I like Mike Milbury. I think when he's a color analyst, on the broadcast, I think he's a little more watered down. I like him more as a studio analyst because he's actually more colorful there, and he's a little more assertive, and he gives his opinions. The guy, honestly, I think maybe the way he said it wasn't right, but I think he just is being honest in terms of the culture around professional athletes. I'm not saying what he said was right. I'm saying it's probably honest and truthful to the culture of professional sports. So he stepped down himself, probably in lieu of being fired. But this is what he said. They were discussing the benefits of playing in a bubble. And he says, if you think about it, it's a terrific environment with regard to if you enjoy playing and enjoy being with your teammates for long periods of time, it's a perfect place, which I think was a little jab at Tuukka Rask because he was very critical of Rask leaving.
Yeah.
But then he follows it up with saying, not even any women here to disrupt your concentration. Sorry. Boucher said that first part, and then Milbury chimes in, not even any women here to disrupt your concentration. Which, it's like, there are women who work in sports. There are female reporters. There are female broadcasters. There are a trainer. There are women in sports. It's not like this is like, some all boys club and it's like, ooh, the one girl, ooh, like, there's nothing like that. There's women around sports all the time now. Look at the San Antonio Spurs have a female assistant coach who is likely going to be a head coach in the near future, which I think is,
yeah.
which is awesome. Women in sports is not this like, oh my God, there's a woman here. What is that? Like it's hopefully by now that should not be the thing. I think what he's talking about more is having wives, girlfriends, going to the strip club if you're Lou Williams. I think that's the type of behavior. Instagram models. Look what came out about Devin Booker and the Suns. There was some Instagram model who came out that she was with like 8 of them all at once.
Yeah.
I think that's the type of behavior that Milbury's alluding to. Just the way you said it, dude, is bad. Like, I don't disagree with you, but you got to be a little smarter than just saying like, oh, women around here would break your concentration.
Yeah, here's where it loses me is like in today's day and age, you got to be smart not to say anything stupid like this. Like I don't think he's like anti-women and like he said. I think he was half joking. He said it the wrong way. Do I think he should get fired for it? No. Honestly, like I'm not in the the world of, well, this guy said one wrong thing, he should be fired and lose his job over it. He should take some time away. Obviously, he's going to be out for the rest of the playoffs now. Um, I just think he said it in a wrong way. It's a bad message. Like, just don't say it at all. You don't need to. Just say distractions. Like, I honestly believe that he was not trying to disrespect anybody or attack women or anything like that. Um, but it's not a good look to say something stupid like that. So I'm not on his side. I don't think he should get fired, but I think you got to be smarter than to say something dumb like that, and especially in today's day and age where it's like not to say any of this stuff. Like, we're trying to go the other way, not backwards, and it just like the message is just misconstrued, and it's not a good message, not a good wording on it. He effed up on that one. So um, yeah, and I mean his 2-1 we had Tom Brenneman, I think,
Oh
the
yeah,
Reds. We didn't hit on that, but it's just like you gotta shut up. Like, it's just no reason to say it. It's just not a good look. So that's kind of where I'm at.
yeah. So no surprise that he's out. So yeah, let's turn to football here. And hey, guess what? Ravens have released Earl Thomas.
Earl Thomas, yeah, there it is.
So he is on the street and can sign with anybody. What's interesting about this now is if a team signs him, he's going to have to travel there. He's going to have to quarantine for 2 weeks. So it'll be 2 weeks before he can be on a field and practicing with guys. Depending on which state he goes to, but then also, I mean, he'd have to test negative a whole bunch of times in a row. It's going to be a while before he's on another field with another team
Mm-hmm.
because of this thing. And
Yeah.
you might be basically getting to a point where he's not even on a field before until the week before their first game. Yeah, and their language that they use is for personal conduct that has adversely affected the team. And that's important. That saying that's the reason goes a long way towards them justifying not paying him, which
Yep.
they're going to want to do. You don't want to have that money on your books, but you know what? If you're the Ravens, you honestly, unless you think it's a sure thing that you're not going to pay that money ever, you do this that way and you fight it. If you fight it and lose, would you rather have that $25 million go on the books this year when you already expected it to be there? Or would you rather have that $25 million go on the books next year or the year after when the salary cap might be way down? Think about
Yeah.
that. If the salary cap drops by $80 million next year and then you tack on another 25 because you're paying Earl Thomas's money, that's not good. So they better hope that they feel like they have very stable ground to get out from that contract, or else they're going to be in a lot of trouble. And that's a good young team that can't afford to now be put in cap jail before they're even ready to start re-signing some of their young guys. Not good. So
Yeah.
we'll
No,
see
I
what
think
happens.
it's yeah, I don't think they'll lose that case. Like, I think they have a case there to be made, and it might take a while, but I think they ultimately don't have to pay the guy. I think he's kind of an a-hole, so see you later.
Yeah. So the NFL thing I wanted to touch on, and then all this news came out. By and large, the NFL these guys have been supposed to be, doing the proper things. Come to work, you're tested every day, go home, be smart. What MLB players were supposed to be doing, and we know they weren't. Now, NFL
Yeah.
players, by and large, have behaved themselves. They're still getting cases, but it does not seem like it's running through a team the way we were worried it would because of how much contact. I think initially they tested the whole league. Only 56 people came back positive, less than 2%. The Jets and Bears had a bunch of positive cases this week, but now there's reports that those labs they might all be false positives. So who knows what the deal is with those? Obviously, if those numbers are accurate, then that's a not a good trend. But to this point so far, what we know from accurate tests, numbers are not bad. The numbers are pretty good in the NFL. And the reason I think it is, and it'll be different once teams are playing. We don't know what that's going to look like yet. You know, how it will spread from team to team from playing the game. But right now, guys behaving, I think, is a lot to do with the fact that they have unguaranteed contracts. A guy in Major League
Yeah.
Baseball doesn't have to worry about losing his job. Because if he loses his job or if the league shuts down, he gets paid. He doesn't care. An NFL guy, look, the Ravens just released a guy and are going to not have to pay him $25 million of guaranteed money and about $50 million of money that was on a contract. They're going to pay him zero because that's what happens in the NFL. If you're a guy who's trying to make a roster, if you're just a guy who's on a second contract that's a mid-level deal, if you don't have guaranteed money on that contract and you get sick, maybe they just cut you. If the season doesn't happen, they don't get paid. These guys
Yeah.
need to play. So there's more incentive there to behave, to make the season happen. And so at least until games happen, and if you can't help it and things are spreading terribly from team to team just by virtue of playing the game, then unfortunately it'll get shut down. But I think these guys are going to be responsible because there's no guaranteed money in it for them. They need to play.
Yeah, I think. I mean, look, I think the vast majority of players, they also care, right? So half of it's the salary, but also I think there's another element here where the players created a stink with the NFL that there was no plan in place, which and rightfully so. I say stink in an opera with the NFL because they were moving forward like nothing's happening. But the players said, no, we're not doing this unless it's safe. We have testing, we have all this stuff. So I think that the players genuinely care about doing the right thing. And like with the testing, I know the Patriots had a bunch of false positives as well this weekend for that was the reason for their absences. So there's going to be that element of it, but also if you have the testing, you have these guys that are on the same page, and I think the vast majority, there might be a few outliers, but I think a lot of the players they care, they want to play the season, they want to get paid. I think all of that kind of wraps in together. I think the salary is one thing for sure. That's a huge, huge factor. And also, they seem like they want to be in a good position. Like the players in the baseball, they were all about the money from the beginning. That was a labor dispute, not something about the pandemic. And then there's cases flying all over the place. I think the NFL players want to play and they genuinely care about getting the season in. So I think that's a big factor along with the salary.
Yeah. Um, the other thing that we've discussed is injuries. There's been a lot of injuries, and we talked about this with Dr. Mark Murphy a couple of weeks ago. If you want to go back, I can tell you which episode of the podcast of the show that was. We had a lengthy discussion about the return to sport and injury risks. Let's see. Yep, back on June 28th, so episode 24. And we can maybe tweet that out. If you go to our Twitter page right now, his conversation with us is actually, and the link to that episode is still pinned to the top. Really great conversation, a lot of insight. And we talked about this. There's going to be guys who, especially NFL guys, who maybe aren't as, who haven't had the access to facilities and the conditioning, and they've been doing a lot more sitting around. They've been off since, some guys, December or early January. And that you were going to see injuries crop up and freak injuries. And that happened this week with Gerald McCoy. And if you're watching live, we're actually going to play the video. I gotta see if I can pull this up here. So this is Gerald McCoy. He ruptured his quad tendon. Again, that's something that normally it's totally freakish, but these are the types of injuries we're seeing. So we're gonna flash to this.
no off-season workout program was huge for them, and now they're just kind of running into it here in training camp. So it's going to be rough for a while.
Yeah, yeah. We'll see. So let's. You talked about the Stidham injury. We'll hit quickly here on the New England Patriots and their quarterback situation. So Stidham dealing with a hip injury. Seems he's trying to fight through it because he has to. He's trying to earn the starting spot. I think it's clear. I think no matter what, I think Cam Newton's going to be the starter. There's no chance of him. I mean, again, aside from a freak injury, knock on wood, hope that doesn't happen. They're not playing any preseason games, and so it's just going to be reliant on practice. And to this point, Newton hasn't done anything that would say, like, oh, God, the guy's not ready, he is not capable, or blah, 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 he can't pick up the system. I think they're going to roll with him. I don't think Bill Belichick, I don't think they're going to roll out. Now, will they treat it like an extension of the preseason, which they normally always do at the first couple of games? Will Bill actually, run multiple quarterbacks? I don't think so. I think he's just going to want to maybe just say, we have to do trial by fire here, and Newton, you're in. You get all the minutes, and until you fail or show no signs of improving, I think he's the guy. Yeah, and Hoyer's the backup. And Stidham, you're the third guy. Get healthy. Keep learning. We like you. And next year, maybe when Newton leaves and wants to go sign a big contract because he played well, you are the guy. But right now, I think, unfortunately for Stidham, he's third, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think there has been rumors like Mike Reese wrote a piece for ESPN. I think he's still ESPN. About how they're going to go platoon squad at on the quarterback situation. I hope not. I hope it's Newton. I want it to be Newton. If Hoyer's the starting quarterback week one, you can consider me out, and I will be jumping ship to a different team, and we'll probably Tampa, and then we'll see what happens. I don't want to watch a 6 and 10 year of Brian Hoyer. I'm good on that. I want it to be compelling, and I want it to be competitive, and I think Newton gives you that best chance. And early on, it's going to be rough, I think, probably. But also, I think he'll pick it up eventually, and I think he's the guy.
Yeah, totally agree. Any other NFL points you want to hit on, Christian? Because if you don't, I have something fun that I want us to discuss quickly before we close out this episode of the show.
No, I'm good. Let's do it.
All right. So I was going through some old books of my dad's, and I found this. I assume this was his. It's Illustrated Digest, and it's called The Athlete's Cookbook, with recipes, diets, and nutritional facts for the family training table. Learn what the high school, college, pro, and senior athletes eat to keep in shape. Let me just flip inside the cover here. This is from February 1975.
Jeez. Going way back.
This is fantastic. One, because of, I'd love to do a cross comparison with this to the TB12 method book. It's fantastic just because of how dated some of the information is, and also some of the resources guys have at their disposal. Instead of saying guys, I eat this type of weird, apricot from this country, and then I import specialized beans, and then I have this sort of shake with this, genetically enhanced protein powder. Guys are just I drink 3 glasses of milk. It's very simple. Some of the names in here are great. I want us to maybe focus, because each page is a chapter. I think maybe we go through and we pick out a different person each week, or a different chapter, and we just work our way through this book once a week. A little daily segment of the Athlete's Cookbook. We've got George Foreman here. We've got Muhammad Ali. We've got Joe Namath. The chapter on Joe Namath right now, fantastic. It's actually 2 pages. It is amazing. But I'll give a little tease of what you're in for. This is the paragraph that Bob Greasy gets. Bob Greasy is the star quarterback for the Miami Dolphins. Greasy concentrates on protein foods, heavily salted to replace the salt he loses during a game. He is a meat and potatoes eater, but his big meal always includes fresh vegetables, salad, and rolls. He also has a large fondness for ice cream.
Jeez. That's a good teaser. We'll start. Why don't we start next week on it?
So next week we will begin, and I'll put out a picture of this, the Athlete's Cookbook from 1975. I think this is
Greasy.
This is gonna be great. So absolutely wonderful. Little bit of history here on the 360 Sports Show. So until then, NBA playoffs continue today. Some of those series will be in the books by next week. Second round of the NHL playoffs is underway as well. Excited for that. NFL season coming quickly. And so we'll bring you all the news from the week ahead next weekend live at 11 on Sunday. You can catch us. If you can't catch us there, make sure you like and subscribe to the podcast. Just look for the 360 Sports Show anywhere where podcasts can be found, and you can talk to us then. So until then, folks, stay safe, and we'll talk to you next week.
Go Bruins!